Good morning, my friends. Another wonderful day in the Philippines. Hey, this video, I'm going to call it Living Large in the Philippines. I mean, it is about having a good lifestyle here. I've seen so much feedback from people or on other posts about having to have between 2,000 or 3,000 or don't even think about coming here. I am showing you my life, not to be a star, but to be an example of what you could have if you come here and you choose to live like this. And I have a pretty darn good life. So anyway, let's jump into the video. This is video I took on one of my trips up to Baguio. I just thought you might find it interesting to see what the scenery looks like as you're cruising around through the Philippines, maybe on an adventure, just driving through. And this one is for the ride up the mountain. Like I said, in my videos, instead of doing a walk and talk or that kind of thing or sitting in front of the camera, I thought that what I would do is show you scenery from some of my adventures as I'm discussing the lifestyle. So I thought I'd take you along with me and hopefully you enjoy the scenery. Now what I'm showing you in these videos is what my life is like living on average Social Security income, definitely under $2,000 a month. Now a lot of people are going to say, oh, you have to have 2 or you have to have 3 or don't come in here or your life's going to suck. My life does not suck. Now the other vloggers that I listened to before I got here, I used to live vicariously through those guys, trying to imagine what my life would be like when I got here. And not long after I got here, I realized that my life experiences were not exactly what I had seen in the videos, not exactly what I had imagined. As it turns out, it was better than I had imagined. And that's what gave me the idea that I had something to say here. That's when I decided to do a video and put it out there. So when I started doing my videos, I was doing things from my perspective about how it was for me, the way that I lived and in my life and being in the province. So what I'm sharing with you in these videos is my life experiences, some of the good, some of the not so good. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's all experiences that I wish that I had known before I got here. Now, what I try to show you in my experiences is not only verbally, but visually. So in these videos, everything you see, every last second of it, are videos that I have made. If you see me traveling in these resorts and beaches and all these places, these are places that I've gone, I've experienced, and I've done on my Social Security income. With the exception of health or mobility issues, whatever you see in my videos, you should be able to do for yourself. Now, I had a guy left me a comment about his friend who bought his house when he came here. He has a car payment. He's 78. He lives paycheck to paycheck on $1,200 a month. Now, his point to me was that I should be telling people that they have to save for emergency, they need to have insurance and all those kinds of things. No, I don't have to tell anybody to do anything. It's not my goal to be a YouTube guru and tell you what you have to do or how do you have to live your life when you come to the Philippines or how much money you have to make. My goal is to show you what I do in my life and how my life is based upon my experiences. And in my opinion, I only have one obligation, and that's to be honest. Now, as many of you know, I reply to pretty much every single message that I get. And I told him, I said, you're telling me that your friend is 78, he has a car payment, but he has no insurance? That sounds like a lifestyle choice to me, which is what I've been talking about. So I said, well, what would his car payment be if he was still in America? What would his insurance, his registration cost? If he had spent that same amount of money in America on a house that he paid for here, what would his house look like? What would the taxes be like? What would his insurance be like? I think my point to this guy is the quality of life he has here on a paycheck to paycheck basis is a lot better than it would be in America, like on $1,200 a month. Now, I'm sure this guy is a very good and caring friend, but I'm equally as sure that he's never been to the Philippines. Probably really never spent 10 minutes thinking about how his friend's life would be there if he wasn't here. All he's thinking about is that he's living paycheck to paycheck on $1,200. By the way, taxes and insurance on a house here is usually just a few $100s a year. Now, another guy said he wasn't sure he could live on $3,000 a month. He lives in a hotel in Angeles and probably would be saving money by renting a nice apartment. But he spends a lot of time on Walking Street paying bar fines. Now, if he had a relationship and wasn't out spending money in bar fines, he'd probably have trouble spending $3,000 a month. Again, this is a lifestyle choice. If that wasn't his lifestyle, I don't think he'd be worried about making it on $3,000 a month. So on my last video, what I did is I showed you an experience that I had from beginning to end. But I just priced it out as like a 3 to 4 day trip for the average person. Me, I was actually on that trip for almost 3 weeks. Now, the trip cost me more than $400, but it cost me a lot less per day. But the point of the video was not to show how cheaply that you could get a trip done. The fact was that you could do a trip at all. And those prices were without any kind of promo or coupons, just getting on and going. And that was the point of the video. The secondary part of the video is you could do that every month. In San Diego, I would not be able to do that once a year. When I was asked to do a food budget, it took me a bit to figure out a good way to do that so that it would be user-friendly and relevant to a large group of people. Everyone could see when they were watching the video the prices from the vendors and what it was costing. Then we could see going to a different store, the different type of products that were there, and then up to the hypermarket, what was going on there and those kinds of prices, and then finally with the ES&R. So with that, I tried to come up with something where you could individually take a look and say, hey, I would do most of my shopping like Darrow at the public market, and I would do some of it at the hypermarket and a little bit at the S&R. So you could get a blended cost of $9 20 days a month, maybe $12 8 days a month, and $20 3 days a month, and come up with what your budget would be. You could have 100 different people come up with 100 different budgets, and they'd all be correct. Now, some people are going to spend about $600 a month, and they're only going to shop at the hypermarket and the S&Rs. Then they go out for dinner quite a bit, and you add that in, and they're up over $1,000 a month. And they may feel like they're slumming at that. Now, maybe that's all they've ever known, so that's what they're putting out there. Now, just because they live like that does not mean that the rest of us would only be comfortable living life at that level. It doesn't mean that we have to be in their income bracket in order to have a good life here. When somebody says, oh, you have to have $2,000 to $3,000 minimum or don't come, my eyes just glaze over. I have no idea why they feel the need to say that even. Even if you want to take the budget that I gave and double the food and quadruple the rent, you're still going to be somewhere around $1,000 a month just with that. Now, if you look at my $600 a month budget, that is my budget on an average month. Now, I do spend more than that because I've been fixing up my little house here, and I've been doing some traveling also. Now, with that budget, I still have $1,200 left over. Now, imagine in America where the average 900 square foot one-bedroom apartment runs $1,760 a month. How much would I have left over after my $1,800? I can't even imagine living there any longer, and it's only been 2.5 years. But I'm not sad at all. I live a good life here. I've never really been happier. There's a lot to be said for living a simple life. Some of us could be happy knowing that we're going to have all the food that we could possibly eat all month without having to stop and budget, having a nice little roof over our head in the area that makes us happy, and having enough adventures to keep our life interesting. Now, I don't really hang out with expats here in the province. I don't really even know any. But I do have a good circle of friends that I've made since I got here. I never knew I would be or could be as happy and as carefree as I am, and I mean carefree. A lot of you probably saying, I couldn't live that way because I'm just not that mellow. I'm not that laid back. 2.5 years ago, I couldn't even imagine saying this, but that's what I'm going to get into in my next video, is the transition I made from the time I got there to the way things are now. If you like this type of video content, please let me know in a comment below, and also like and subscribe. Thank you.